boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm ForClassic and welcome to BenchART. So for today what I do have in here, it is Persona 5 Strikers, a game developed by P Studio and Omega Force, and they are using their in-house engine. So for this game on the GTX 1650 Super, I'm going to play at 1440p using the maximum settings, and let's start with the requirements. So these guys recommend the GTX 680 with 2GB of VRAM or an AMD Radeon HD 7970 with 3GB of VRAM. So the results that I got while playing in a very big fighting scene at the beginning, it was pretty much like this. Whatever if I go with 1080p maximum settings, or whatever if I go with 1440p maximum settings, the game was locked to 60 frames per second. So this is a bad side of this game, is that it doesn't support frame skipping. So you either need to go with 30 or you either need to go with 60. Although at 4K, both median settings and 4K maximum settings weren't able to reach 60 frames per second, and since the game doesn't support frame skipping, you need to lock your game to 30 frames per second or it will run at slow motion. Being 4K maximum settings more easier to drop to closer to lower 30s, or who knows, even drop below 30 frames per second in bigger action scenes than this one that you are seeing, which I doubt. Or you can go with 4K median and have a more stable 30 frames per second experience, since the minimums that I got, it was pretty much 40. So that's pretty much the performance. So my recommendation, it is, if you have a 1080p or 1440p screen, it is for you to go maxed out. If you are going to play 4K, just use the median settings, but put the textures on the high settings, since you have enough VRAM to power up the game just nicely. So Persona 5 Strikers, it is not really what I was expecting. At first I thought this game was simply a spin-off from Persona 5, and at some point it is, but it's not entirely the case. Persona 5 Strikers, it is a sequel to Persona 5 in its story. So Persona 5 Strikers takes place 6 months after the events of Persona 5, so which makes it a sequel. So all the story that you are going to see inside this visual novel, it's going to take place after the events of Persona 5. So this is a sequel. But in other hands, it is also a spin-off, because contrary to the previous Persona's games, which have been using turn-based combat, Persona 5 Strikers takes a different approach, as you saw in the video, and you have kind of a real-time combat that resembles kind of a crossover between Dynasty Warriors and Persona gameplay. So this might be kind of a hit and miss for the fans, because the fans might want to have more of Persona 5 story, and that's fully okay, but they also might want to have the same combat approach as the predecessors, and that's not really possible in Persona 5 Strikers, since they now moved on to some kind of real-time combat. For me, it is fine, but it is different. I can no longer relax as much when I'm playing this game in combat mode. You no longer have that full time to think and take your own decision. So it's a different combat style, but above all, the game itself, the visual novel moments, your friends and all that kind of stuff remains as is, as you know before. Alright, that's the good part. It isn't being as well received as the other Personas. For example, Persona 5 scores between 90 to 95 on Metacritic, while Persona 5 Strikers, it is a slightly lower score, with scores between 80 to 90, mostly between 85 to 90. So it's still an awesome game, but it is just different, alright? And that's the thing that might be scaring some people away, especially huge fans from Persona, from this game. But still, yeah, it's a sequel, so if you want to know more of the story, you need to play this one. So on Steam, you know, I'm quite surprised because the score on Steam, it is 96%. Usually people criticize the Japanese ports, but as far as I've seen the port, it is, you know, it's good. It's a good port. It fails a little bit with some stuff like the frame skipping, which is not supported, and this is very usual on Japanese titles. So you either need to go with 30 frames per second or 60, depending on what your machine can achieve. It is also the maximum frame rate, it is also 60 frames per second. This is very typical on Japanese games too. But everything just works, keyboard and mouse works, gamepad works, everything just works fine. The only thing that I feel that could be better implemented, it is the anti-aliasing inside the game. It's a blur filter that also affects the text, so despite I'm using in this video, this is something that I do recommend you to turn off. If you want to use anti-aliasing, you can use the resolution scaling if your machine can handle it, and use values above 1.0. Of course, this is something that is not possible on my laptop GPUs, since they struggle a little bit with this game. So I think that's all that I want to talk about Persona 5 Strikers. Hope you keep enjoying the rest of the gameplay, which is just this dungeon, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
Take this! Take this! Take this!
Hey, Joker, you think you could find your way up there? Wait! Shadows ahead! They haven't spotted us yet. Let's try those stairs. See that hanging there, Joker?
Hey! Who's sneaking around here?
Right where we want it. Now let him have it! Nailed it!
All that's left is mopping up the rest.
You're mine! Come! Ravage that! Right here! Take this!
I've learned something new! Yay! We... There. Not a shadow in sight. Better keep moving.
I've got eyes on them!
They just don't quit!
Take this! Persona! You're mine!
An optimal solution!
Take this! Take this! Fall! Let's go! Now! Take this! Take this!
Ooh, you got another persona. Looks like... Oh, enemy ahead! Joker, try...
Let's go.
Focus.
Come! Pixie! Take this! Got it!
Let's focus on the big shadow for now. I'm seeing it!
Persona!
No! My whiskers are burning!
Yeah. Let's go. You're mine. Take this. Ravage them.
Take this!
It's over.
You're doing great!
Showtime. Pixie. Here.